Hello everyone, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to this webinar today on succession planning. If you have any questions during the webinar, can you please log on and type into chat, and I will answer your questions during the webinar. If you're watching this at a later time or on social media and you have a question, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Succession planning. Have you ever wondered why some family businesses appear to be far more successful than others, even though they're in the same business activity and perhaps started around the same time? Success may have been because the founder or someone else in the organization developed a strategy for professionalizing the family business, documented how things were to be done. This doesn't just happen, it has to be planned. So let's look at some of the key questions. Where are we? What is the purpose of the business? What outcomes are we looking for? What are the core values of this family business? How are we going to handle conflict between family members and the family business? And there will be some. It's the planning as to how they're to be handled that's very important. Is there going to be a family council, which will be the arbitrator of disputes? What will be the pattern of meetings? Are they going to be regular, monthly, quarterly, annually? And is anyone going to be able to attend the meetings of the business? Or is it only the directors that are going to be able to attend? How is the selection of the next leader of the family business going to be determined? Does the leader always have to be a member of the family? Could an in-law be the leader of the family business? Does the founder have enough money to retire on? Or is he or she going to hang on in office well beyond what should have been their retirement date because they haven't got enough money? So we're now going to go to the ESS BIZTOOLS website to give you an overview of all of these matters, which we can show you the products that have been developed by ESS BIZTOOLS. I've now gone to the ESS BIZTOOLS homepage. This is within the members area of ESS BIZTOOLS. We have 32 products in the ESS BIZTOOLS product package, and these are listed down on the side of the screen here. The material in the middle is the individual products that are in a particular package, and our major package is the advanced package. That includes every item that ESS BIZTOOLS has produced. The Optimum package is nearly the same, except it doesn't include access to ESS Biz Grants, our grant finder, nor does it include permission to utilize ESS BIZTOOLS papers on the subscriber's website in a secure area, only able to be accessed by clients who have a username and password allocated to them by the subscriber. So that's a run through of all the packages. We cover a whole range of matters that SMEs might be using or wanting to get advice on, so that our subscribers are able to offer them that advice. And then subscribers can take smaller packages, and the package which we're promoting as part of this webinar is the introductory package, which gives enough to get started. So we call it Tools to Create Opportunities. So we now go into the succession planning, which I have clicked onto. And this is the material that you can now see. And we're going to download the content. And this is a list of what's included in this package. There's the procedure control form. ESS BIZTOOLS has a procedure control form for every package. Sme Needs Analysis, which is a vital document, probably the most important document we have in this total system. And what it does is give you some prompt points to talk to your clients about, sit down and have a cup of coffee with them, to get their feedback, to understand their concerns about particular issues. And one of the issues that may have arisen, of course, was succession. Maybe the current leader is not satisfied with any of the key subordinates from the family and is worried about what is going to happen. It's not unusual for a generation to be skipped. In other words, an outsider is brought in to run the business for 10 years or so until the next generation has produced someone as the heir apparent. And then we have a range of material. A lot of these items are in BAS forms, Business Advisory Services forms, we call them. And we're going to show you this. And then there is a paper on succession planning. And there's PowerPoint slides to assist in the review of the paper. You might use that for your staff training to familiarize everyone with what's contained within the succession planning product package. But to get started, we're going to go back and pull up the procedure control form. And I'm going to show you some of the material included in this area so that you can familiarize yourself with it. I just need to bring that item up onto the screen so you can see it, and hopefully you can now see it okay. The procedure control form. Now this is our guidance as to how you might go about utilizing this product package. Obviously the procedure control forms are different. Some of them are very different, one compared to another, in the 32 packages that we have. But they normally start off with setting the scene. So quotation and proposal, very important part of this. It's important that whenever you're undertaking this type of work, you submit a written quotation and proposal to your clients. So we have a draft of that, and then we got the actual forms to assist you with that. And then we got the preamble after you receive the client's acceptance. And that's some material that we're suggesting that you utilize to go through with the team that's going to work on this project. So make sure that they clearly understand what the intention is, what the work to be undertaken is. And then we're going to be looking at the information to your client. This package is a little bit different to a number of our others in that there's a fair bit of information that needs to be submitted to your client to get their feedback on if you're going to develop a succession plan that suits their requirements. There are some things in an accountant's office, of course, that 1 + 1 must equal 2. But succession planning is completely different to that. It throws that theory out the window because succession planning is really something that has to be tailored to suit the circumstances of the particular family. And some might say suit the circumstances of the current leader. And that's probably more right than wrong. So where I want to start on this journey is looking first of all at the succession planning, the current owner's strategy. So what's the current owner interested in doing? We've now gone to the summary. I'm just going to click on that. And I have now brought that form up onto the screen. So this is the succession planning current owners strategies questionnaire, because you need to get some information back from your current client. Now you can either send this to them or you sit down and talk to them. I think you sit down with it and work your way through with the client, but perhaps you send it to him a day or so beforehand so that he or she have got their thoughts together. They sat down and given some serious thinking to what they want. So what do they want to achieve from the business? They creating a legacy? Do they want to think that in 100 years' time, someone's going to be sitting around recalling great-great-great-grandfather that started this business? Is it to provide an inheritance for children and grandchildren? Or is the plan to develop the business so it can be sold on to a larger corporation? And perhaps the family can then move into another business? There are some families do that. They just seem to move from business to business. And are you wanting to just get the business ready for sale? Is that the succession plan, getting it ready for sale so you can sell it and retire? So one of the key questions that needs to be explored is, are you building the business for a lifetime or for an exit? In other words, is the business going to be held in an exit ready status so that if a potential buyer walks through the door, the whole deal can be finalized within a couple of months? Or is the family in this business for the long term? Or do you want an each way bet? If so, accounting records and everything else should be kept up to date so that you can respond very quickly to a inquiry as to, is this business for sale? Have you identified about your fears? You know, what's your fears about retiring, losing quality of life, losing that personal status and recognition? What are you going to do in retirement? Financial hardship. And let's look at some of the questions that could be asked. You've got to explore this with your client. Could a partner buy you out? There might be a partner in the business. Could you introduce a new partner into the business and then exit? But is that new partner going to be acceptable to your current partner? Could another family member take over the business? Or should you be getting the family used to the concept that someone from the outside world, a non-family member, might be invited in to be the CEO of the business? And what rules need to be changed if that's going to happen? Is there an employee within the current team that could run the business? Have you been developing that person's skills and knowledge? Are any of the staff or ex-staff interested in purchasing the business? Could you negotiate a trade sale with a competitor or a large organization? That happens also. Do you want to develop the business so that it could be turned into a public company by undertaking an IPO, an initial public offer? Or is it feasible just to sell the assets and close the business down? Sometimes that's the best decision. Do you think the business is exit ready or succession ready? And when you come to exit ready, it's assumed that you've got everything worked out, systems, everything's working very well in the business because you're trying then to maximize the value of the business. But if you're looking for succession ready, sure, it might be good to have all those things as you would for exit ready, but it's not as important, is it? The main thing there, I think, is to make sure that the successor has been adequately trained, motivated, that all the secrets of the business have been revealed to at least him or her. What's the greatest concerns you have for the operation of the business? Financial performance, competitors. What are competitors going to do if they know you're thinking of exiting? Staff skills shortages, lack of funding for growth. Is that your reason for saying let's sell to a bigger person? You could have looked at crowdsourced funding to try to raise some money for the business. Selecting a successor, training a successor. Neither of those tasks are easy, of course. And what others? So having considered all the matters we've Ray, so far, what's your goal? What are you thinking? What's your client telling you that, what are they inclined to do? Are you motivated by a significant change of events? There may have been an unhappy business event. There may be caused by the loss of a major client. Someone's decided to throw their hand in. Changing dynamics in the marketplace, your health or the health of your spouse or partner and others. Because this may have a bearing on what's happening. Will the business survive with a lesser reliance on you? Some businesses are completely built around the key person. That's all anyone really knows about what goes on in that business. So how are you going to replace that person? What's your advice going to be as the accountant? So one of your suggestions might be to the owner or the CEO that you're talking to, you need to make yourself scarce for the next couple of months. You only need to be here 1 day a week instead of 6 or 7, so that the rest of the team can see how they can handle the work on their own. That the person you think should be a successor can have the reins for 5 or 6 days a week to see how they go before the final appointment is made, because you might find out that this assumed successor is not a good successor at all. They may think that they're now at the stage where they can play golf every day and not have to worry about work. If the business is not exit ready, if it's a concept of selling the business, that's the succession plan that's in your thoughts, what needs to be done? How long will it take to get the business prepared for investment? It's a bit like selling a business. So what's going on there? Now you might have some more questions, but there's some opening questions to run through with your client to get a feel for what they're interested in. Let's have a look at the next question. And it's a strategic plan for the development of succession planning. I think it's a good idea to develop a strategic plan as part of the succession planning concept. This probably should be prepared a year or so before you think that your client's likely to be embarking down the succession trail and wanting to retire. Plan it in advance. Have you developed a strategic plan for the business? Have you visualized what the end is for your family business? This is the question you're asking your client, of course. And then get him or her to write it down. Have you considered the following in the development of a strategy for professionalizing the family business? This is more so when they're saying, no, we want to continue it. I've got some great grandkids coming on. We just got to bridge the gap for a few years. So in professionalizing, planning for growth, establishing policies to deal with predictable family issues. Invariably, there's always a few that are unpredictable. Establishing procedures to determine issues relating to the family and the business. That's what I started off with when we had our general discussion. There are always issues between the family and the family business. Why? Because only a few of the family normally are involved in running the family business. When grandfather started the business, the whole family, his 3 kids, might have been involved. But as families grow and get bigger in number, it's not unusual to find that at the end of the day, there may now be 40 in the family, but only 4 or 5 actually working in the business. Yet that business might be owned by the full family. The 40 members have all got a stake in it. It mightn't be equal because shareholdings may have been diluted. One family may have had 10 children. Another one's only had 1. So obviously shares getting handed down can mean that different members of the family have different equities. What's the policies relative to the employment of family members in a family business? This causes more disputes than just about anything else, I think. Little Johnny's mother thinks he's a darling, but the uncle who's running the business is not very impressed with him at all. And just because the mother of little Johnny thinks he should be getting paid something bordering on an executive salary doesn't mean that's what the uncle who's got the responsibility of running the business is going to think. Should family members be encouraged, or should it be mandated in the family documentation, the constitution, that no one can be employed in the family business until they've worked with someone else? Some families do it with working with their competitors. Competitors generally encourage this because they do it with their own offspring as they're growing up. Go and learn the trade. Work with one of our competitors. Get to know them. Or go and work in some other part of industry and come back if you like later on. So what are the policies for establishing remuneration and how family members can be employed? What's the family members' responsibilities to the business, especially the family members who are not employed in the business? Do they have some obligations or expectations imposed on them by the ones who are working in the business? Family businesses need the same strong financial controls as what any other business should have. And some people might argue more so, because over the years, there's been a lot of problems in family businesses. I've heard of stories where a partner has had a bad day at the racetrack and then gone and known where the takings from Saturday still are. They haven't been put into the bank through a safety deposit type arrangement. They're sitting in the safe in the office, and he goes and reimburses what he's just lost at the racetrack. Not a very good situation, because invariably on Monday morning, someone's trying to account for the cash and it's $1,000 short. Benchmarking. I think it's very important. The family business should be holding itself accountable to other businesses in the same industry, whether they're family businesses or not. Most of them will be, of course. Most SMEs are family businesses. It just gets back to how many family members are involved. So benchmarking is an important consideration. And the policies and procedures and the rules relating to some key appointments like the chief executive officer. Can it only be a family member? Some families have those rules. Can it be an in-law? Some families don't encourage in-laws to become a key executive like the CEO. But what's that do to the family business? There are others that do. And there's been some spectacular successes with the key executive being an in-law in the family arrangement. Who appoints the board of directors? Is it always got to be family members? Or will some outsiders be appointed so that the directors' meetings don't become a squabble between family members? This doesn't tend to happen as much when there's some outside directors sitting there who are getting paid, and therefore they're going to be very conscious of saying, well, let's keep the meeting going. Should the chair of the family company be an outsider? Some families have that rule to try to break down these inter-family quarrels disrupting board of directors meetings. If you've never done this sort of work before, this can be rather enlightening as to how families interact with one another. And sometimes you need earmuffs. Is there a family constitution? I've skipped an important one there. Should there be a commitment within the family that before a family member can be appointed to the board of directors, they go through some training? I think they should be made, I was going to say encouraged, but also becomes compulsory that they've participated in the Institute of Company Directors diploma course and preferably undertook the examination and therefore passed the examination so that they can hold themselves out of being a qualified company director. I think that's very important because it will help their status, and especially if they're younger, because the old great uncle might be a difficult person to deal with, but if the 24-year-old who's finished the university and has also undertaken the Institute of Company Directors course and has passed, gets some standing based on that. So we go on there with more and more questions that are related to this whole concept of looking at how the family is going to run itself in this process. The next one I want to look at is succession planning questionnaire. We got there, have you considered the 5-step process? Conducting a strategic SWOT analysis. Where are we now? Develop a mission statement. Where do you want to be in this family business? Has it got to continue for another 100 years? Or has the business outlived its usefulness? Is no one interested in it anymore? Is it just a cash cow, or is it not even that anymore? It's not making any money, but it's got some good assets. What's the objectives of the business and the key performance indicators? How do you implement? Businesses need to obviously understand their operations, but then there's management training, both family members and non-family members. Team training, which is probably, again, the same, family and non-family, but there may be a lot more non-family. Corporate governance is very essential in board of directors meetings. That's why I'm suggesting Institute of Company Directors diploma course, so people have an understanding it. Understanding the predictive accounting approach, budgets, cash flow forecasts, projected balance sheets, so that the directors know where the business is going. And we've got some questions there. If you're planning succession, can you answer the following? That you might like to share with some of your clients. There are other forms there that you can see, and I'm just going to pick up one of them, this one here. Director's questionnaire. That you might like to work your way through with your client. Do you already have an advisory board or external directors on your board? How does it work? Are the people on the board, both family and non-family, happy with the process? Is it truly operating as a board of directors? Do the board of directors understand the separation of management from the board's deliberations. And so it goes on. So that process will take you through so that you can get a better understanding of what's involved and get the feedback from your client. I've mentioned the family charter or constitution a couple of times. So let's have a look at what could be considered. Why do we have family charters or constitutions? Well, it's basically to look at the overlap between the family and the family business. As I said before, a family business that's been going for 20 or 30 years may end up with a lot more members of the family than what actually work in the business. Yet the family probably still owns the business, or most of them do. So what's the reporting requirement between the directors of the family business back to the family in effect are the shareholders? So when I'm advising SMEs who are looking at broadening their business operations to use crowdsourced funding equity raising to raise capital, or Section 708 of the Corporations Act to raise capital, my suggestion is that they submit a report to their shareholders every 3 months. I've had some clients do it every 6 weeks, but every 3 months I think is enough for a report. Well, I think the family business should be doing the same thing back to the family members. Give them a report, keep them informed. And at the end of 12 months, there should be an annual general meeting of the family business entity that the family can attend. I mean, they're assuming here that the family are the shareholders. So they can attend, they get their briefing. They can have a cup of tea or coffee, or perhaps a glass of wine as they consider the family's results. And what the Constitution enables is some of these key matters I've been talking about before. Who can be a director of the family company? How are the directors elected, appointed? Can a non-family person be the CEO of the company? And the Constitution should also, in effect, have its own corporate governance clauses, so the behavior at meetings can be stated. Some people might say you shouldn't have to do that, but unfortunately, sometimes you do. How often is the family going to meet as a unit? Is it every 3 months after they receive the report from the directors? Or is it every 6 months? Do they have to be in-face meetings? These days, surely not, with Zoom. What's the succession plan? Does everyone understand it? What's the rules on share ownership? Some family entities have got very strict rules on that as to who can inherit or obtain shares. Can non-family members obtain shareholding in the company? So there's a number of questions there that you might like to consider in this whole process of looking at succession. We then have succession checklists. Key people input. Some of these are using the same form, but we're then using them in a different process. And then we get to the report, which I'm going to bring up also. And this is a form that's been pre-prepared for you to slot in your answers to the various forms. And we've only looked at a few of them in this overview. But there's a whole lot of questions to be looked at that's going to be giving you back information so that you're able to summarize all that to have that final discussion with your client and then prepare your final report to the incumbent CEO, who may have commissioned this, probably has. But in all possibility, it's going to end up going to the full board of directors and possibly to all the family members. So you need to make sure it's drafted accordingly. So that's the overview of how the ESS BizTools product package on succession planning can help you attend to this very important task within your clients' businesses. And it is important because it's part of the ongoing succession issues within the business. Is the business still going to be strong and able to continue? So we're just going to go back now to where we were. We've done the overview of the ESS BizTools succession planning product package. This is all part of the tools to create opportunities. We have a special promotion on at present. We've got 7 great products. Your investment is only $795, including GST. That's about $17 a week, less than about 50% of the 6-minute charge out rate that a partner's using. Think about it. You can get started. You can then subscribe for additional products if you want to. Now you get 4 packages that are included automatically because we want you to be using these. These will help you market these services to your clients and will give you and your colleagues, your team, far greater appreciation of what these products are all about and what delivering business advisory services. So we have a training package with 13 modules. We have a newsletter that you receive every month except January, but there's 2 extra editions in May, one to cover the federal budget as it affects SMEs, and the other one to look at the end of year tax planning. There's 343 papers that you can badge and send to your clients. And incidentally, that covers 60 categories. And we have the SME Needs Analysis that I mentioned earlier. I think this is the most important document in the ESS BizTools package because this will help you get work from your clients because you will have a conversation with them and find out what's really worrying them. And it might be succession planning, of course, that they're very concerned about. And then you take your pick. You pick another 3 of these products. So there's 22 of these. So we got 5 business health checks. If you're in one of those industries, you might decide yes. Or you got clients within one of those industries, might decide. Then we got business planning, tradies, charge out rate, professional firms, retail, wholesale, stock mix, and pricing calculator. Buying a business. Which ones of those cover your clients? Tradies is very popular, as is retail, wholesale, stock mix, and pricing calculator. I can remember using something similar to that many years ago. We didn't have computers then of this magnitude we have today in a retail environment, helping to understand the product mixes that go on. Client mentoring and coaching modules. This is material you can send to your clients, which will give them a far better idea of the sort of services you can offer. Crowdsource funding, equity raising, a seminar we did a couple of days ago. Debtors management, early stage innovation company. Another way that your clients can raise capital without having to put up an asset as a security and without having to pay interest and without having to issue personal guarantees. Government grants. We talked about ESS Biz grants before. Leadership modules. The personal property securities register. It's important you know about this if you're advising tradie clients in particular, because they can get caught. A lot of them have. Selling a business. The debtor systems manual. It's all ready for you to edit the material that's been produced, succession planning and survival in difficult times. So you pick 3 of those and you're ready to go. You pay your $795. You've got that access for 12 months. If you need more packages like research and development, you can just add it to the list. Now you can obtain the product brochure and the subscription form by sending an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and we will send you that information so you can proceed to subscribe. If you want to know more, on Thursday, the 11th of November, we got the Personal Property Securities Register to give you an overview of how that works. So if you want to contact us, please contact me, peter@essbiztools.com.au, or telephone me on 1-800-232-088, or please visit our new website, www.essbiztools.com.au. Have a great day and stay safe. And hopefully your accounting firm is going to be ready to meet the challenges of supplying outstanding services to your clients in 2022. Have a great day. Goodbye. And I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions. Thank you.